Welcome back to part 2 of our training for Gateway Virtual Academy. I hope you enjoyed part 1. Part 2 will be approximately 30 minutes. So what are we going to learn about in this session? We're going to learn about TodaysMeet to engage in important learning conversations with students. Also another app called Lino to encourage student thinking and collaboration. And students have a hard time taking notes, and so we're going to take great notes with Evernote. We're also going to examine how you as the teacher can check to see if your students are taking notes correctly, and maybe even give them a grade on their note-taking ability so that we can develop that skill. Taking notes is a skill that is very important for students to be able to do in order to be successful in school. And when you're teaching an online course, it's very difficult to know if your students are taking good notes. And so Evernote, and we're going to talk about some other note-taking apps that you can use, that will give you an opportunity to have students turn their notes in to you so that you can take a look at how they're taking notes, whether the notes are helpful, and you can keep track of that. So TodaysMeet is an app that you can use on your computer or your phone. It's a free platform where people can set up rooms, and inside those rooms they can invite people to join the room to share ideas, feedback, and resources. So why would you use TodaysMeet? Students do not need to sign up for this service, so student email addresses are not necessary. So that's a great way to keep your students' privacy if you guys are concerned about that. So how to use TodaysMeet? You would create a room, share the address of the room, which is a link, and then collaborate. So this is the main page of TodaysMeet. It's a very simple application to use because it only serves one function. You set up a room, people enter the room using the link, and then they're able to type in their observations and thoughts as to what's going on in class. And you as the teacher can monitor that on your phone or on your computer as you're teaching a class. This is called a backchannel. A backchannel is a conversation that goes on alongside the primary activity, which is the class, or your presentation, or your discussion. Maybe you're not even teaching the class that day. Maybe you're just having the students gather inside of this room to speak with you about how the class is going, share their observations, what they're learning, and ask questions. So when you click on I want to start a room, you will see a screen that looks like this, and they ask you to name your room. And you can call it anything you want, and you can have it open for an hour, 2 hours, a day, a week, a month. And once you're inside the room, basically you just type what you want to say into the box called message, and then you hit the little button at the bottom that says say. And when you do that, on the left hand side of the screen, the messages of the people who are involved in the class will just pop up in that column, and you can see what everyone is thinking and how people are collaborating based on questions that you ask or observations that they have. You'll notice that you can set specific settings for your room. You can show each speaker in a different color, maybe somebody's blue, red, green, yellow. You can save a transcript of what was discussed in that room so that you can print it out and look at it later to see if you've missed anything. There's also a way to enable a QR code if people want to just scan the QR code with their phone. That will take them to the room. Or there's just a link, as you can see. The link to my room is http today.io/TQGN. There's also a button that lets you embed that particular link in your online course. So maybe people go into your online course and they're completing the assignments and looking at the materials in your online course. They can click on that link that will take them to the room, and they can type in and collaborate with other people. You can also have a projector view. That probably would not be something that a person teaching an online course would be interested in. But if you're teaching an in-person class, you can project the room up on your wall and people can see in real time what's going on inside the room. You can post this QR code. You can copy and paste it into an email and email it out to your people. They can scan that with their phone and it takes them right inside the room. My room was called RepMo 1. It also enables me to embed my room. If you look near the bottom of the screen, there is an embed code. You can embed the link to your TodaysMeet room in your online course. So you can use a link, you can use an embed code. How we use TodaysMeet in my class: we have students asking questions and receiving answers during a lesson, a movie, maybe a class discussion, maybe something that they're watching on TV at home. And it does not interrupt the class because you can monitor what's being said on your phone or your computer. And students and the teachers can discuss an event. One thing that we used it for was, if you've ever seen the State of the Union address made by the President, people were all in their houses watching the State of the Union address, and then we went into a room on TodaysMeet and students shared their thoughts about what was going on. The teacher asked questions so that students could remain focused on the State of the Union address. If you've ever watched the address, you'll know that it's long, can sometimes be boring. So when kids have the opportunity to go inside this chat and talk to each other and ask questions of the teacher, it really keeps them focused on what's going on. You can gather feedback from students in real time. You can gather anonymous feedback if you have the students use a nickname. They don't have to give their real name when they log into TodaysMeet and go into the room. You can check for understanding as you're teaching your lesson. You can have students type yes or no in the box without submitting, and then when it's time to submit, they can hit the say button, and then you as the teacher can see, if you're teaching 12 kids and you see that 10 of them typed no when you asked them if they understood what was going on at that particular time, you may want to slow down, reteach. You can take a poll. You can put a question up there and say, all right, here's 4 different choices. Pick the choice that you think is the best. You can connect with other classes from different subject areas, different grades, different schools. You can all meet in one room and discuss concepts. You can connect with famous people. I've sent links to famous people if I'm discussing something and maybe we're discussing a scientific concept and there is a scientist who is an authority on that particular concept. I've sent a link to a TodaysMeet and they have joined us, and we've been able to connect with that person and ask them questions, and students really enjoy that. Students and teachers can post links to useful articles and other resources inside of the TodaysMeet chat room. Students can explain how a concept being learned is applicable to their everyday life. Teachers can communicate with parents. You can post due dates, conference hours. You can save yourself many text messages and phone calls. And if you're not talking specifically about their student, if you're just giving general class information, parents can click on the link that you post. They can go inside the room, and you can hold online office hours and teachers and students and parents can all meet inside a Today's Meet room, and the teacher can share when upcoming assignments are due, what the topics are of upcoming lessons. Answers to student questions can all be done inside of Today's Meet. Teachers can actually hold online tutoring sessions. They can say, you know what, we're going to talk about Chapter 4 on Wednesday night at 7 o'clock. So here's the link to where I'm going to be. So if you want help with the chapter that we're talking about, click on the link, go into the Today's Meet room, and I will be available to answer any questions. Another way to use Today's Meet in class is, and I know language arts teachers love doing this, they do what's called a story starter. You can write a sentence to get the story started, and then students can log into the Today's Meet room and they can add a sentence to keep the story going. And you never know what the story is going to look like when everybody's done giving their input. You could even have every student start a story in their particular room and then send the link to their story, to their room, to all the other students, and then they can log into all the different rooms and add a sentence to each story and see what happens at that point. It's kind of like organized chaos, but kids really like doing that, and it keeps your students engaged in what's going on. Another great way to collaborate with students, and another free tool that you can use to help students study, is called Lino. Lino is kind of like an online corkboard where you can post specific things and students can post things, ask questions. Lino is available on all devices: laptops, phones, iPads, iPods, Android devices. What can Lino do? You can take a note and post it to your board wherever you are using your phone. You can use their calendar. You can use what are called Stickies. And these sticky notes that you post on your board, you can use to share files, share links, talk to your friends. You can collaborate with your classmates 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, post and arrange pictures, files, and videos. This is a more permanent way to communicate with your students because these corkboards, online corkboards, are available forever. A collection of stickies is called a canvas. And there are canvases on just about any and every subject. I know earlier in session 1 we talked about Quizlet, where you could learn about just about any subject using Quizlet. You can find a canvas on order of operations and mathematics. You can find a canvas on the periodic table. You can find a canvas on just about any subject that your students want to learn about and what you're teaching about. And so you don't have to provide the materials yourself. These things are available on Lino for your students to access. My account is called New Teacher Help, and I have made a few canvases myself, and they are available for people. All you need to do is post the link and students can access your canvas. So let's get started. My canvas, I can call it anything I want, and I can make it any color I want. I could have it all different colors. I can go with brown, black, white, gray. And you can see that you can limit the access to your canvas. You can make it private, so only your students can look at it. Or you can make it public for other people to look at. You can also control who posts things on your canvas. You can have it to where just your students can post things, or you can have it to where anyone who finds the canvas can post information. So here's what my canvas looks like. This is my first sticky. So you can control what color the sticky is. This one's yellow. I can tag what it is that I post so people can find it. My first sticky that I posted on the canvas is, post your questions here and I will answer them. So this canvas is for students who might have questions. So in my hypothetical world, I'm teaching United States history, and you'll see that some of my students got on and posted questions that they want me to help them answer. What is the organization that dumped tea in the Boston Harbor? What advantage did the colonists have over the British Army during the Revolutionary War? What did the soldiers use to cover their feet at Valley Forge instead of shoes? In what ways did the French help the colonists? Are we supposed to read chapter 10? That was a random question from one of my students. So each one of these stickies has some tabs on the bottom right hand corner. The first tab is, if you click it, you can edit that particular sticky. Another tab right next to that is you can set the due date, when people are required to answer. You can send the sticky by clicking one of the buttons. The middle one will allow you to send it to anyone using an email address or a link. You can copy the sticky, or you can peel it off and throw it in the garbage. Setting a due date, when you click on that, you'll see a calendar pop up. When you set a due date on your sticky, Lino emails you whenever your due date arrives. You can email your sticky to anyone. All you have to do is click a tab. You can actually click a box that says keep a copy of the sticky, and then once you put an email address in there, you click send. You can send that sticky to your students or parents or other teachers or your boss. You can copy your sticky to another board. I had 3 different boards at that particular time I was shooting this video. So I can save myself some work and copy that sticky to all of my boards if I want to. And you can have an unlimited amount of boards. You can also add stuff to your sticky. You can add a picture, a video, or you can attach a file, maybe a Microsoft Word file or a PDF. What it does is it makes these stickies a real warehouse of knowledge for you. Students can make their own canvas with a theme, populate it with pictures, Word documents, PDFs, PowerPoint files, videos. They can use this to make a project, and then they send you the link to the sticky or to the corkboard, and you can look and see all of the things that they've gathered from the internet, all of the digital things that they found about a particular topic. Some examples, maybe they want to do a project on Pearl Harbor or Hamlet or conjunctions or any of the 8 parts of speech. Maybe they're doing a project on the Big Dipper, how a bill becomes a law. All of these are topics that they can use. You can make the topics yourself. So which one of these collaboration devices are better? Both of them are great. Your use will depend on your specific need. Maybe a running commentary of what is happening in your class would be best for TodaysMeet, the first tool that we talked about today. Maybe a more permanent collection of ideas, a more permanent collection of videos, pictures, files, and due dates would probably be best on Lino. I would explore both and see which one's best for your needs. So now we're going to talk about unorganized students. Did you know that most students are unorganized? Did you know that we have historically tried to get students organized by using a variety of different apparatuses? Backpacks, student planners. You guys are probably too young to remember the Trapper Keeper. The result of our efforts, the backpack usually is 50 pounds of books with papers wadded at the bottom. Not a very good way to get organized. The student planner, schools spend $3 per student and they are rarely used as they are intended. And then of course the Trapper Keeper didn't work. It's just a joke now that people use. Evernote is a great way for your students to get organized and to take detailed notes. This is a screenshot of what my Evernote looks like. Your Evernote can be used on your phone, on your tablet, on your Chromebook, on your desktop computer, on your laptop computer. And it is a great way to keep track of pictures, audio recordings, text, hyperlinks about a particular topic. You can tag your notes by clicking on the tag button. So that way you could search for it. Maybe you could tag all of your science notes with the word science. And when you type science into your Evernote search bar, all of your notes that have to do with science class will pop up. You can share your notes, and this is where you come in as the teacher. Your students can take notes on any of your lectures or any of your classroom activities that you have posted online for them to access. And then you can keep track of how well they're taking notes because they can send you their notes. And then you can grade them and send them back. You can decide to share your notes via link. The link is emailed to people who you want to share your notes with, and then when the recipient clicks on the link, they see the notes that you want to share. The people that you share your notes with don't even have to have an Evernote account to receive your notes. So here is me sharing my notes with someone. You can share your notes using Twitter. You can link your Evernote with your Twitter with the click of a button and then send your notes out as a link, as a tweet. You can share your notes with Facebook. I don't know how many of your students or teachers have Facebook, but you can definitely use Facebook. You can use LinkedIn. If your students and teachers have a LinkedIn account, you can share your Evernote notes via LinkedIn. You can share your notes via email. Just type in the address of whoever it is that you want to send them to with a short message and click send. You can also share with a link. If you've taken a giant bunch of notes about that day's lesson, you can see that that set of notes has a link. Copy it to your clipboard, and you can embed it in your online course if you want to. You can send it via email to students and or parents. So how can this help students? At the beginning of the year, you can spoon feed your students. Maybe the teacher writes the notes and shares them with students with a link. Maybe after a couple of months, you've developed note-taking skills in your students, and maybe one student in your class takes the notes for the entire class and then shares them with their partners. And then maybe later on in the year, once people get good at taking notes and have seen how you've modeled doing it and how their classmates have modeled doing it, maybe all your students could take notes for themselves after a period of time. And then they need to share them with you, the teacher, so that you can read them and give them feedback on how well they're taking notes. If you're a one-to-one school, an online school, Evernote makes it possible to take notes on a tablet without a word processing program if you have iPads or iPods. Evernote is great for developing keyboarding skills. Maybe your students have bad handwriting. If you're typing your notes, it makes it possible for you to read them. You could even give students a grade on how well they take their notes. You could email your students' notes to the students' parents and say, hey, this is an example of the notes that your son Billy takes in my class, which might lead the parents to say, wow, Billy, these are great notes. Or the parents might say, Billy, you need to work on taking notes. Those notes were not good. There are other note-taking apps out there. Microsoft OneNote, Simple Note, Google Keep, Zoho Notebook. Every single one of these options is free. Every single one of these options are available to download on a phone, a tablet, a Chromebook, or a desktop computer or a laptop. So contact me with questions. You can email me anytime about anything that we've talked about today or just about teaching in general. My email address is newteacherhelp@yahoo.com, newteacherhelp@yahoo.com. So now that we're at the end of session 2 for today, you should reflect on your learning. Take out a sheet of paper and write, what 2 things have you learned today, and how will you implement these 2 ideas in your classroom in the future? Hand in your reflection to your facilitator. Maybe there are some things that you would like to learn, maybe some further steps that you would like to take or learn about any of these online tools to help your students study, to help your students take notes. I hope that you have enjoyed this session, and I will be glad to interact with you. If you have any questions about anything in the future, I would be glad to answer your questions. It's been great to be with you today, and I want you to have a great school year.